bespoke radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network.
All right. Good evening. How you doing? Fade to Black. That's right. It is Monday, February 17th, 2025. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Let's do this, man. Now, as you can see, as promised, sitting to my left, your right, is Jerry Sargeant. He is with us tonight, kind of co-hosting. Jerry, I should just have you read the teleprompter, and we could get through all of this tonight, and I can take a night off. I mean, you don't have to do anything. You just read. See, I'm a robot. People think I improvise. I just read off that thing right there. I just read. And no, you're not down for that?
I'm up for whatever, Jimmy.
That's what I'm talking about. Jerry Sargeant is with us tonight. We're going to have a great time. Now, I want to remind everybody what's going on this week. Tonight, of course, Jerry is here. And tonight, I've called the show Intention Transformation. We're going to be talking about a lot of things tonight. And tomorrow night, Lori Majka is with us. Love Never Dies. Wednesday night, Mark Hartzman is back with us. We're going to be talking about our bizarre world history. Then Thursday night, Jason Murphy and Christy Bass are with us. RKEOX on Fade to Black. I want to remind everybody that I've got 4 events coming up. I've got Rise of the Guardians. That is March 29th and 30th in Sedona, Arizona. Coming up after that, I head to the Midwest for the Contact Modalities Expo. That is May 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in Delavan, Wisconsin at Delavan Lake at the resort there. I come back for Contact in the Desert, and that's May 29th through June 2nd right here in Palm Springs, California. Then I head south with Brian Forrester back to Peru for the Inca Celebration of the Sun, and that is June 17th through the 27th, 2025. I'm going to Peru twice this year. That's the first trip in June. Second trip is in November. Links for everything that I am doing are below. All right. Now, let's kind of get, I've wanted Jerry, I've known Jerry for a while, but I've wanted him on the show for a long time. We got to hang out last week, and it was one of those things like, why are we wasting our time? All right, let's do something together. Jerry says, I'm in town. He lives in Europe. We're going to talk about that tonight, but he's in town, and he said, why don't I come out to the studio? I said, dude, let's do this. So here we are, and what's really cool about this is we would have always had a normal conversation, but tonight we get to do it together, and this is great, man. You excited?
100%.
So, look, I've got your whole bio here. This is, you get to see that. I don't read the whole bio. You know what I do? I do this. So watch this, Jerry. Just watch how I do this. So tonight, we have renowned healer Jerry Sargeant. We're going to be talking about intention transformation. We're going to talk about how we got into this. We're going to talk about your body power, what you can do, where he lives, and what he is doing right now to transform the world. But it's all about the journey, and we're going to do all of that tonight. I would like to welcome to Fade to Black, Jerry Sargeant. Jerry, welcome.
Thank you, Jimmy. It's a pleasure to be here, man.
See, I skipped all of that. That's 20 minutes. We would have had to. 20 minutes, man. Oh, all right. First question out of the gate. What do you think of the studio?
Super cool, man. Yeah, loving it.
Isn't it, though?
It is. It is.
This is, most people don't get to experience what we're doing here together tonight, right? So they see this. They don't see You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a cool environment.
It
man.
is. Isn't it though?
Yeah.
It is. This is my job, and I get to. This is. You know what I mean, though, and so this is my vibration, and I just to get sit in here. How important is that to be happy and in your element?
I mean, you spend a lot of time in here, man. So it's got to be exactly as you want it to be.
Right? Does it smell?
A little bit.
It
but
does. Not gonna lie. But yeah, because you do this. You're building a center, and we're gonna. The location blows my mind, so we'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, how important is that environment for the people that you bring in? It should be center, shouldn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, you're living and breathing and working and creating in this environment 24/7, 365. So your essence has got to be infused into that environment, and your vibration has got to run through it, left, right, center, up, down, front, middle, back. So if you haven't got your space exactly as you want it, then when people come into that, they're going to feel there's something out of whack. The resonance isn't right, and it's just not going to feel 100%. So building that foundational platform, which is your space right here, is of the utmost importance. Same as the healing center we're building in Romania. Like right now, we're preparing the land. We've got a portal on the land, and for the last 12 months, we've had extraterrestrials opening the portal, coming through, and moving the portal from the side of the land right into the center. Because where we're building it, the centerpiece is going to be a multi-dimensional Merkaba field. So the portal is going to be right in the center of that. So when people come into this building, whether it's a training or an ayahuasca ceremony, the frequency is going to be off the chart before we even get to do any work. You know, their consciousness is going to be blown wide open. Their heart's going to be expanded, and they're going to be dropped right into that field, ready to go.
Let's back up. Okay, so why Romania? People know who you are and where you're from. You're from the UK. I said UK. You're from Wales. What's the difference? Are you guys? Are you guys? Wait. If you're from Wales, do you guys tell London jokes?
Well, the thing is, I'm not.
Be straight with me.
So Welsh people do, but I'm actually English.
Okay, so in England, do you guys tell Welsh jokes?
Absolutely.
That's what I'm
yeah. And English people will tell Welsh jokes, and Irish people will tell English jokes, and vice versa. 100%. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so the reason why I say Wales is because you also have a home there too as well.
Yeah.
Why Romania?
So many years ago, I ended up meeting a Romanian lady who became my wife. We had 2 children together. So that's where the original Romanian connection started. And then one day I was in Romania with my ex-wife and children. We went to see her parents, and we're traveling from a place called Piatra Neamț up in the mountains back to Bucharest airport. And I was asleep in a taxi, and the taxi ran 3 ladies over. And the first one came through the windscreen, smashed me in the face whilst I was asleep. Second one had her ankles cut clean off, and the third one was physically okay. I didn't realize any of this had happened because I was asleep. I just woke up, there's glass, there's wind, the taxi's swaying from side to side. And I think to myself, boy, we're in a bad accident. We're either going to hit the oncoming traffic or the car's going to flip over. And then all of a sudden we come to a stop, and there's no cars on the road. There's no one else around. I look at the taxi driver. He looks petrified. There's a hole in the windscreen. There's blood dripping down my face, but I'm not bleeding. So I'm thinking, what has happened? Then I get out of the car. I check on the missus and kids. They're okay. Our daughter, Leia, was underneath the driver's seat. Josh was in Laura's arms, and both their mouths are full of glass. And I see these 2 ladies lying on the side of the road, one with her ankles just off.
Wow.
And, you know, she obviously screaming, crying. The other lady's screaming. There's a guy that's come out from a nearby factory. He's on the mobile telephone. I look about another 150 yards up the road, and there's what looks like a dead body. So I don't really think about anything else apart from getting towards this lump on the floor. I get closer and closer, get within about 10 meters, and I see this energy hovering above the body, which was the lady's soul. But I'd never seen anything like this. So I'm shaking my head, like part of me wants to see it, part of me doesn't want to see it. I get closer and closer, and this energy just fizzles off into the ether. And I'm looking down at this lady's body. Her legs are wrapped up over her head. And it was like someone had taken an old car to the scrap heap. Like whatever this energy was in the body, boom, it had just gone. This lifeless thing was on the floor.
We hear about this all the time, but you actually saw this happen.
I got to witness it firsthand.
Wow.
And I looked up to, I don't know, wherever I was looking up to, the heavens, whatever, and I was just saying thank you. And I don't drink whiskey and I don't smoke cigarettes, but all I wanted was whiskey and a cigarette. It was strange. It was like the universe was just waking me up. So that's how everything started in Romania, my whole spiritual journey.
That's incredible. Does that answer questions for you that you may have had before?
I didn't really have any questions before. I was so focused on my world and my.
But that's what I'm saying, right? You're so focused on that, and then suddenly you see this. Everything changes, doesn't it?
Well, once I saw this, I was like a dog with a bone. I'd smelt and seen something else. I was like, I need to find out more about this stuff.
Right.
And my whole world started opening up. And what happened is, around the same sort of time, I was watching TV one night, and my ex-wife comes downstairs and she looks really scared. And she says to me, Jerry, I hear all these dark voices, and every time I close my eyes, I see all these dark images. And she said, when I'm pushing the kids on the pushchair down the road in the morning, something's trying to make me push the pushchair into the road to kill the kids. And I looked at her and thought, what are you talking about? This sounds crazy. But I said to her, you know, I love you. What do you want to do about it? So she phoned her friend that was a priest. So this priest came around the house. She's putting crosses up. She's dousing the house. And I was sat there thinking, this is like something out of the Poltergeist. And anyway, she calms her down. She goes to bed. The next day I go and see a friend of mine, and I told him the story. And he said, you need to speak to this lady. And he gives me the name and a telephone number of a lady who had a past life regression business. So I didn't know this at the time. I didn't know what she did, but I phoned her up. She phoned me back. She didn't answer. She phoned me back, say 30, 40 minutes later, whenever it was. And she said, where do you live? And I said, 316 Richmond Road. And that's the only bit of the address I gave her. Nothing else. She said, hold on a minute. The phone went quiet and I'm waiting and waiting. She said, have you been knocking some walls down in your house? I said, listen, we've just moved into this property and the property's rented, but the previous owners have clearly built an extension. She said, yeah, you've got an angry old man in your house. And I'm thinking, okay.
Oh, man. Okay.
Let's just pretend there's an angry old man, because this is all new stuff to me, right?
Right.
So I said, okay, let's say there's an angry old man. What can we do about it? She said, I'll get rid of him for you. I said, brilliant. When can you come round? She said, oh, I don't need to do that. I can do it from here. She lived the other side of the country. So I'm thinking, this is just getting weirder and weirder. So anyway, I put the phone down. I go back and I speak to my missus and I said, listen, I know I didn't tell you I was going to do this, but I spoke to this lady about what happened last night. And she reckons there's an angry old man in the house. And my wife turns around to me and says, I know, I've seen him. So when she told me she'd seen him, I knew there must be some truth to it, because these two people have never, ever met. So I thought, right, I need to find out more. So I phoned her back up and I said, listen, I don't know what you do, but I have to come and see you. So I booked a session and I went up and had my first past life regression. And then I was hooked. Like, because it really helped me with a particular issue I had.
Well, what about the old man?
Well, she got rid of him. Yeah, she got rid of him.
Just like that.
She'd gone. Never heard from him again.
No more voices.
No more voices. No more nothing.
Kids are safe.
Everyone was sweet. Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Listening to you. Best Guy Ritchie film. I'm just saying, just real quick. What's the best Guy Ritchie film?
Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
Yeah. I just had to get that in, everybody. I'm sorry. I just had to do it. Snatch, though, is pretty good.
Snatch is awesome.
Yeah.
But I think Lock, Stock is
Lock, Stock.
It just does it, you know?
It's so weird because when I first saw Lock, Stock that was my first Guy Ritchie taste, right? That might have been his first film. Anyway, then I saw Snatch. And I thought, how could you top Lock, Stock? Snatch is actually, that's a better movie. Then you go back and watch Lock, Stock, and you realize how great it is. Snatch is fantastic, man. It's brilliant. But Lock, Stock is where it's at.
It's in a league of its own. Man.
Yeah, league of its own. Okay, anyway. There's a reason why I asked that. I'm sitting with a Guy Ritchie co-star. Okay, so the journey of going from You just mentioned portals, possible extraterrestrial contact, a retreat center, ayahuasca, poltergeist in your house, right? The car accident. So we got a little bit of everything there. How does that mold itself into health and wellness and what you that was there a catalyst? Was there something that kicked all of that off?
I mean, it was a whole chain of events. I mean, what happened once I had the car crash, I met this lady. She taught me how to remote view, how to bring my light out of my body and travel, lots of different skills. Again, my ex-wife, Laura, she had a headache. She's been a big catalyst in my journey, you know. She had a headache one day. This is soon after the car crash. And I thought to myself, I can take this out of your head. I don't know why I thought that, but I did. So I've gone over to her and I saw that the headache, it was green and it had this green energy. So I've grabbed it and pulled it out. And she got up off the bed like she didn't have a headache. And lots of things like this were happening. We ended up moving to New Zealand. We opened up a health and fitness and mixed martial arts facility. And everything was amazing. The kids went to school there. It was really cool. Beautiful part of the world. And I met this old guy over there and he had a copper pyramid in his garden. And I used to go around there all the time, like pretty much every day, sit in this pyramid, and he taught me how to meditate. I'd never meditated in my life. So he got me to sit in a chair inside this pyramid and meditate. One day I'm sat there and Jesus comes down before me and my feet turn to balls of fire, like real flames. And he said, Jerry, you can walk anywhere you want to go in the world. Just don't be scared. And he turned and he walked up these stairs. So I followed him and we were in the Last Supper. And he's given this like Last Supper sermon. I'm sat there. I was Matthew in this reality, and I look out the window and there's a massive extraterrestrial craft. And they were showing me that extraterrestrials have been around for a long time. So I had this experience. And then 2 weeks later, I'm sat in this pyramid again, and a little space pod lands in the garden. And there's a blue being inside of it. Because I'd met this lady with the past life regression business, she taught me how to bring my light out of my body and have like an out of body experience just off the drop of the hat by choice. So I bring my light out of my body, I go and get in this craft, and we fly through a tunnel for about 4 or 5 seconds. We come out the other side and we're above a beach. There's water. I get out of the craft. I walk up the beach, and there's about 200 of these blue beings. And they all give me a massive hug. And it was like I was home. The emotion that I felt was unbelievable. I knew I was on Alpha Centauri, and I knew that these beings were Lyrans, and I'd never heard of Alpha Centauri. I'd never heard of Lyra. And they just hugged me for ages. And then suddenly they stopped and they sort of made this kind of walkway. I followed one of them up the beach through this kind of like jungle area and into a pyramid which was made of light. And there's this really ancient blue Lyran in the corner. And he asked me to kneel down on the floor. I had this big orange download of like spiralized geometry. Had this experience. I go back to the spacecraft. They fly me back through the tunnel and back into the garden. Then nothing else happens for about 2 years. And I'm waking up every day like, come on, man, what's next? I really wanted to find out more information. Nothing was happening. Then one day I woke up and I knew I had to go back to England. So I said to the missus and kids, we've got to go back to England. And they're like, Dad, we love it here, blah, blah, blah. So I just pestered them for 2 weeks, and we put a manager in charge of the gym, flew back to England. And then I started seeing fairies and angels and having all these different kind of bits of content.
What was it? Was it the pyramid, or was it something else that caused the experience? I mean, did you go back to the pyramid and try to make contact?
I went in the pyramid loads. I had lots of great kind of like, you know, I had experiences where I was seeing visions and going to spaces like, you know, quantumly without actually leaving my body, having like, I was getting little bits of knowledge and having these bits of experience. And also as well, I met this guy, Michael, that I met. He was working with Saint Germain a lot, and we talked about Saint Germain before the show. But there was a place in Napier on the North Island of New Zealand, and there's a place called Tamata Peak. Tamata Peak is like these two mounds, a male and a female.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Michael used to go and stand on one, and I'd stand on the other, and we used to go into these underground bases and rescue children from forests and all these different things. And we used to work with Saint Germain on that level, but I wasn't really getting more advanced and further forward on my own mission. I was just getting these, you know, bits of skills and things were happening. But it wasn't until I got back to England and I'm out running one Sunday morning and I see these fairies around the tree. So I stop and I'm looking at these fairies and I'm thinking, you know, okay, I'm seeing these fairies. And then an angel comes down and he says, my name's Archangel Gabriel. You need to write a book called Into the Light. So I thought, okay, I ran home. I wrote this book in 4 weeks. I published it. And as soon as I published it, I see all this geometry, the same geometry that came in the orange download of light. So I'm asking, what am I supposed to do? They said, you're just being lazy and you're not meditating enough. Get up in the morning and meditate. So me and my son, Josh, we get up in the morning at 5 o'clock every day. And we go into this meditation journey underneath the pyramids and into these mystery schools, into these classrooms. And I'm looking around and there's loads of other people in there, human beings from all over the world, sat at these little kind of wooden desks, like the little ones you get when you're 5 years old at school.
Right.
And there's a being at the front of the classroom with these scrolls, and he's getting out the scrolls, and it's the same codes that came down in the orange download on Alpha Centauri and the same codes that I was seeing in the space. And he was showing us how to use these codes to heal people. We went every day for 2 hours for 9 months. And then people just started coming into my life that needed healing. And so I was trying it and it was working. And I was kind of building up the courage to kind of like maybe go out there and start a business. But I kept getting dragged to this, back into this old life that I had, which was a criminal life. It was fast money. And so my friends were, Jerry, do you want to do this? Jerry, do you want to do that?
So I wasn't that off when I said Guy Ritchie.
Very close.
You gotta love that. You gotta, okay. So the scrolls, this is fascinating. Were you trusting in this, or did you have to, I think something
I just went with it.
Well, okay. My point being, I don't want to piss off Jerry Sargeant because he'll just right in the neck. I feel it come. It's this though. It's this. I think something rational is a thought of, am I going crazy? I need to double check myself. I'm okay if I'm not going crazy, and this is an experience I need to stop and grasp it. But maybe it's something else. Did you question your own judgment?
So the thing is this, I was really lucky because I met this lady who had the past life regression business. And so she kind of fast tracked me. She taught me how to use discernment. She taught me how to navigate the quantum field, how to get information, how to bring it back, how to know if something was dark and something was light. So
right.
I had this kind of baseline knowledge. So all of this stuff that I was experiencing, I was able to check it along the way and ask and feel into it. Is this right? Is this not right? Pull away from something that wasn't right and move towards something that was. So these kind of skills were kind of embedded within me right from the get-go. So I still made loads of mistakes. I mean, I still went down this road and that road and messed up here and there, but I still had this baseline kind of like teaching. And so I always had that. And then as I made mistakes and rectified them, I got more knowledge and started to understand the quantum field even more, the different dimensions and the different beings and the ones that are trying to trick you and manipulate you and the ones that are there to help you. So it's a learning process, and it's still a learning process now because there's always different layers and levels of the game, as you know yourself. So yeah, you've always got to use discernment and check things out.
Now, there's another part to this for me is discipline. Discipline is hard. Okay. Doing the wrong thing is easy. That's easy, right? Doing the wrong thing is easy and most of the time pretty fun. Doing the right thing and having discipline is hard. Like you said, the meditation, you weren't getting up, right? You weren't doing this, but you're physically, that takes a lot of discipline to do that. So you should have the discipline to meditate if you have the discipline to stay physically in shape like you do. We did this event last weekend and I'm up on stage and I cracked this joke. Jerry's coming up. I gave you an award, right? Yeah. That's what it was. Okay. So I'm giving Jerry this award and he's coming up and he's got this, beautiful tight white shirt on and his tats and his arms and he's the grace, how he carries himself. He's walking up and I make this joke from the stage. I go, man, Jerry looks good. Here he comes. I said something like that. I thought, man, what are you doing? Church, keep your mouth shut. Look at that guy. That obviously I don't have that kind of discipline, but why can't you apply that to meditation?
So now I do, but back then I didn't.
Right.
Because I'll tell you why. Because I didn't realize how important it was. Like I was still embedded in
Right.
my old life of,
Right.
of fast money and the things that I was doing, and so to sit down and be really still, I was like, I'm going backwards.
I can't do it.
Yeah, I was going backwards.
Yeah.
Now I do it all the time because
Right.
I get so much from it. And I realized that actually going into meditation and being still, I can create more in the quantum field and actually manifest in the physical realms a lot quicker by doing the quantum work.
So this is what I found out. I can't meditate either. I just don't have that patience. I meditate on my Harley. Okay. Zoned in, right? Nothing, right? Just ride for a couple of hours. And I go right there, dude. I go right there. I am just inside my head, figuring things out, and it's beautiful, but I can't do it alone.
I mean, if I'm out running, I'm meditating.
That's what I'm saying.
Know?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to be still with your eyes closed to meditate.
Right.
And to be honest with you, we should be meditating 24/7. Like if I'm speaking and you're listening, you're in meditation.
Yeah.
As long as you're not thinking, you're in meditation.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And then I read about 6 months ago, this took care of my other discipline problem. I have a nice gym upstairs, don't I?
A beautiful gym.
It's a beautiful gym, isn't it? It really is, right?
Yeah.
Screw that. I read 6 months ago, 500 calories an hour you can burn while riding a Harley Davidson.
That's cool.
Do you believe that bullshit?
I don't know.
I don't know either, man, but it's good enough for me. Good enough for me. So I can get my meditation in and my workout. Yeah. He's look at Jerry's face. Like, no, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. So your wife's headaches, right? Gone.
Yeah, I started having these different kind of healing experiences. And
how did you approach her with this?
She said to me, listen, I've got this bad migraine. So I just walked over to her, saw it, grabbed the green energy and pulled it out, and she got up off the bed. At the time, I was like, that's a bit weird, but I just sort of took it in my stride and carried on. Didn't really think too much of it.
Wow.
And then lots of other experiences happened. Other people had different things happen to them, and I was able to help them.
Now, we're going to discuss much more in depth after the break. I want to tap into some other stuff before we get there. But how about yourself physically? Do you have illness problems, or are you able to just work on it immediately?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's not really about, curing anything. It's about prevention.
That's right.
So keeping yourself optimized. So for me, all of the things that keep us healthy are free. Intermittent fasting, eating clean, meditation, exercise, deep breathing, qigong. I mean, all of these tools are ancient tools that people have been using for centuries.
Mm-hmm.
And we just don't get taught them at school.
Mm-hmm.
We should be taught these things. If we knew how to read the body, like the body's a communication device. I know that if there's a neck problem, you're stubborn and you're rigid. I know if there's hip problems, you've got issues with trust and you're not moving in the right direction. Like the body tells you exactly what's going on. And when you know how to read it, you can tap into the body and find the reality where something's out of whack and change it. And that's what we do, really.
How we talked about this earlier, but I'm going to circle back to this before I get to some ET stuff and some Romania stuff. Fascinating, by the way, everybody. How important is your bliss being centered and surrounding yourself with positive energy and cutting loose of things that are negative? Could be friends or relationships or a job or
for me, I always liken life to like a hot air balloon. So like, I'm like a hot air balloon, and all those sandbags around the side, family members, old friends, and you're trying to get your air balloon off the ground, but those sandbags are weighing you down. You get a knife and you got to chop them. You got to be ruthless. You got to let them go. Give them the opportunity and say, listen, do you want to jump into the basket and fly with me?
Right.
But if they say no, you can't try and save them and rescue them and drag them into the basket. You've just got to be ruthless and chop it. And at some point, if they decide to, get themselves into gear, they're going to raise their frequency and join you up in the air anyway. And then, the 2 hot air balloons can become 1. But keeping your environment like positive mentally, emotionally, chemically, in every single way, you got to look after yourself. And, there's so many poisons. Poisons come through people. Poisons come through food, water, everywhere. You got to look after yourself and keep your environment clear. The stuff that you allow in through visually, auditorily, it's got to be A1. The frequency's got to be high.
I stumbled upon these concepts naturally. Okay, naturally. And I found that making painful choices of cutting things loose, right? I felt better. If I avoided negative media, I felt better. My body was responding differently. And not having arguments with friends that want to be negative for sport, right? It's like their way of life, right? And you get sucked into that, and you get sucked into and you find yourself, your body responds to that. And so I started doing that naturally, like 20, 30 years ago. And I just felt better. And I just slowly moved my life in that direction. But people want an instant result these days. They don't want to put in the work, right? They want to buy the book, and the next day life is different. That's not how it works.
It doesn't work like that, man. You've got to like, coming back to that word discipline.
Right.
It's a word that a lot of people don't like, but for me, when I think about discipline, I think discipline is self-love. If you're set on a physical fitness regime, or you're going to go and meditate or do some breath work, and your mates phone you up and say, "Hey, Jerry, Jimmy, do you want to come for a pizza, or do you want to come for a beer, or do you want to do this?" And you succumb to it and say, "You know what? I'll come with you." That's you not loving yourself. Because if you truly love yourself, you're going to say, "You know what? I'm putting myself first. You can go and have your pizza. I'll see you tomorrow."
I disagree. You love yourself with a good pizza. I have no issues with that. But no, you're right though. You're right. And it's we were talking about this earlier, how it's so easy to do the wrong thing. It's easy not to do your homework. It's easy to go over the speed limit. You know what I mean? It's easy to do the wrong thing. It's hard. Doing the right thing is hard. It wasn't ever meant to be easy, or everybody would be doing it. It's the opposite. You have to put in the work. For you, like this, I'm going to talk about Romania. Why the energy of Romania has to be extremely special, because it has been built up for 10,000 years, right? There's a different kind of thing going on there, isn't it?
Like if you go back through our ancient history, like, a long, long time, I don't know exactly how many years, but we're talking millions of years. There used to be 3 major crystalline pillars, like light pillars, that used to come through the planet. One was in Romania, one was in America, one was in India. And they used to triangulate the energy from celestial bodies out in space and bring that frequency through the crystalline grids on planet Earth. And many years ago, those pillars were destroyed. They're being rebuilt at the moment. And when you go to Romania, I mean, so many people are flooding there right now. The property prices are going up, business is increasing. Like, it's an amazing, amazing energetic template. And so where we're building our healing center, it's right in the middle of, it's a place called Harghita in Transylvania, surrounded by forest, bears, wolves. You got salt under the ground, fresh water under the ground. There's a portal on the land. Like, the energy grids are absolutely top notch. And so we're building a healing center right on top of all of that. And we're going to build another 12. We've got some of the locations already. And all of these centers are going to be plugged in under the ground through the crystalline grids to amplify consciousness on planet Earth.
Have you seen Nosferatu?
Have I seen
Nosferatu?
No.
You haven't seen it?
No.
They filmed it in Romania.
Okay.
You haven't seen it?
No.
That's going to wrap the show tonight with Jerry Sargeant. Jerry, I had a great time, man. It was just absolutely.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah, thanks for coming by. You haven't seen Nosferatu?
Nah.
What? What?
I'm gonna go and watch it though.
Okay.
Now I am.
Hold on. You got to see this. Okay. It's the original Dracula movie. There it is right there. And right there. Shot in Romania.
You know, I might have seen this as a kid, you know.
No. This is the new one.
When did it come out?
Last month.
No, I've not seen that. No.
It's insane. 2024. See, I was hoping you would say, yeah, they shot that right down the street from, yeah. See?
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy, isn't it? Okay, you need to check it out.
I'll watch it. I'll watch it.
Anyway, I bring that up because people think of Romania, they think of Hungary, they think of Transylvania, they think of Vlad the Impaler, the vampires and werewolves in the forest. How much of that is based in reality?
I was up at Count Dracula Vlad's castle about 3 years ago. I went in the middle of the winter, and it was like, I don't know, 6-7 foot snow, and the energy there was like weird.
Yeah,
you know, like, I mean, it wasn't obviously about, you know, biting people's necks and drinking blood. It was about impaling their heads on the stakes. But you can feel that energy all throughout the lands, and when you tap in with your third eye, you can see all those heads on all of those stakes. Yeah, and when you walk around the castle, there's so many spirits, hundreds of spirits. You couldn't even kind of like compartmentalize them or separate them. They're just everywhere, flooding through the space. The energy's weird.
Yeah, well, you know, the stories, when you look at history and you think of that castle and who he was. Now, I don't know how much of this is true, but if you look at the history, he was kind of a hero, man. I mean, people looked up to him, and he protected there was invasions and other armies and things going on. And he did but he did it through fear. And so he would have invading armies or anybody that wanted to threaten, look at what he would do to you if you got caught, right? He'd impale you. And he left that up there for people to see. That's a frightening thought.
Worked.
Yeah. I can only imagine the energy just must be. It's in the soil.
It's extremely. It's disruptive. It's jaggedy. It's all over the place. You can't sort of. It changes from one footstep to another as you walk through the castle. Yeah.
Now, what about, okay, so in that area, let's say you go to a local tavern and go in. What's that vibe like, especially from, you know, as a tourist or as a visitor? Can you go in and have a conversation about all of this?
No, I mean, most of them don't really speak English, and unless you're right outside the castle in one of those kind of local bars or restaurants, they do speak English, but they don't really kind of talk too much about the history. If you go to one of the kind of like local pubs or taverns that maybe say 2 or 3 miles away, a little bit into the country, it's very, very different. Not touristic at all. It's just local brews, local soups and borsches, and yeah, they're just very peaceful people. Very peaceful people.
So on this property, you describe a portal being there. What kind of information have you gotten from that? And is it based on local traditions, or is there something else happening?
No, none of it's based on local traditions. The portal's there. I mean, my girlfriend spends a lot more time there than me, and she's been there sunbathing. She's watched them open the portal and come through. Literally a few months back, they opened the portal and they were doing some work on the grids underneath the ground, and they set some of the trees on fire. And there's all these blue flames coming off the top of the tree, and my girlfriend Laurie's there saying, "Listen, guys, you've got to sort this out, because otherwise I'm gonna have to call the fire brigade." You know, because there's telephone pylons going over the top, electric pylons and stuff. So she said, "Listen, if you don't sort this out, then I'm gonna have to call them." And boom, they put the flames out in like 0.1 seconds. You know, we've had like insects that are like big furry insects that you don't get on Earth. Like sometimes when they come through the portals, these insects will come with them and they'll be crawling across the floor. big furry things like that, weird things.
I watched a movie last night called The Gorge, and a friend of mine who just did some work on me yesterday or the day before said, dude, you've got, and this is somebody that I trust, right? Old friend of mine. So when he says, you got to see this movie, The Gorge. I said, okay, all right. So I checked it. It's exactly what it's about. It's exactly, you need to check it out. It's pretty wild. Oh, also, holy crap. Takes place in Romania and Hungary.
What, this film?
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. One side of the gorge is former Soviet Union. This side of the gorge is like NATO today. You know what I mean? That's what it is now, but it has been established that way since 1947. Yeah. It's crazy. I can't.
Interesting.
Nosferatu and the Gorge, with
Two
portals,
films to check out.
with crazy insects coming out of the ground from another world. Yeah. What's going on? I've lost control of the show. It's really good. It's called The Gorge. Okay, so what can you say about? I'm just going to go direct contact. Because today, with all of your experiences, and like we were talking about Saint Germain earlier, and if you want to share that story, it's pretty incredible. But you saw Saint Germain on that property with 2 extraterrestrials, right? So, what I'm saying is, with those kinds of experiences and everything else that is happening with the government today, and the media and disclosure and contact, what can you say about that with your own personal experiences?
I've had quite a bit of contact in different forms. The very first bit of contact I had was very soon after the car accident. Me and two of my friends and I, we went to this talk on 2012 on the end of the Mayan calendar. We were really green and we're like exploring spirituality. What information can we find out? So we went to this talk in a place called Basingstoke, just outside London. And we go to this guy's house and he's given the talk. And I asked him a question. It was a little bit contradictory. I wasn't trying to be rude, but it was just a question that I had. And he stopped and he looked straight into my eyes and his face just disappeared to the side and there was a green lizard. And I'm looking and thinking, what the heck is going on? I'm trying to look cool on the outside, on the inside, I'm thinking, melting down a little bit. So he holds my stare for maybe, I don't know, 3-4 seconds. It seemed like an eternity. And then his face just came back. And then later that night, he's trying to psychically attack me and my friends. And I met my first spirit guide that night, a guy called James, who came in to help me and has been with me ever since. But that was my sort of first kind of encounter. I was in a place called Sienkiewicz. This is the story I was telling you earlier, which is a little bit like a spacecraft in the Transylvanian mountains. And you go in, you walk into the cave on the left, you walk into the cave, and there are several little rooms. On the right-hand side, you've got this barrier with a stone kind of like tablet or pillar, a bit like a gravestone, but thinner on the right-hand side.
Why do you call it why do you say like a spaceship?
Because the inside of it's got like a domed roof. It literally is like a spaceship.
Okay.
It reminds me of what being in, some kind of spaceship is, and it feels like a spaceship too. You go in there and the whole energy changes. In the second room across, you've got a big Merkaba on the wall and you've got a hole. And you're not supposed to go in there, but we always do. And we walk in and you stick your head in the hole and boom, you're in another dimension. You're just flying. You can't feel your body, anything. The experiences I've had in there are amazing. And what I was telling you is, I had this kind of experience in the room with the Merkaba. Came out, walked into the first room. I climbed the barrier, which you're not supposed to. I laid down on this stone block, and these 2 Arcturians come in, and they've got lasers on my pineal gland. They're like decalcifying it. They're giving me some kind of upgrade. And afterwards, I really needed to go to the toilet, and there's no toilets around. So I go outside. I'm thinking, right, I need to find somewhere. So I sort of walked away from the cave, and I've gone up this kind of like bank and round the back, and there's a couple of big trees. So I'm having a pee. I'm in mid-flow, and I look up, and Saint Germain is there with these two black extraterrestrials, like blacker than this black top, blacker than this black microphone. And Saint Germain, well, I said to him, I said, you could have come at a better time, brother. You know, I'm having a pee. He looked at me and he said, Jerry, you're doing an amazing job. Stay on path, stick to what you're doing. And that was all he said. The other two beings didn't say anything, and boom, they just kind of vanished and disappeared.
So this isn't like an angel. This is the immortal Saint Germain that's been walking this earth for thousands of years.
He was there.
Wow.
Right in front of me.
How did he look?
So he was shorter than me. Like I'm 5'11". He must have been like 5'8", something like that. Maybe about that much shorter than me. And he had like a browny blondie hair, but a little bit more brown than blonde. And it was sort of swept to the side, but a little bit long. His eyes were like crystal blue, like so sparkly, like penetrated my soul. And his face was like white, like a crystal white, but with bits of pink in it. Like it was like pink human skin, but crystal white, and also kind of multidimensional and esoteric. You know, at the same time. And he's got this kind of like robe on, and he's just stood there. And I wasn't seeing him with my mind's eye, I was seeing him with my eyes, like right in front of me. And I know that if I'd have put my hand out, I could have gone through his body, but he looked physical.
Looked physical. So the reports about Saint Germain over the years, which have spanned hundreds of years, different people, monarchy, you know, political figures, music, whatever, all describe him the same way over a few 100-year period. It doesn't make any sense unless he is truly immortal, right?
Well, what I feel is that he has the ability to shapeshift. So he can present himself in his original form like he did to me, and he has to many other people. But if he wanted to, he could appear in another physical body. But even if he appears in another physical body, there's still going to be some resemblance of what he truly is in that original form. You know, I know people have said that like the eyes never change. You know, the eyes are always the same. Those kind of piercing eyes. And when I had contact with him, with my friend Michael in New Zealand many, many times. You know, we were connecting with him on a daily basis.
Did he look the same?
The same.
Keep doing what you're doing, Jerry. That's a pretty good message from Saint Germain.
And it was the same message that Jesus said to me as well. You know, my feet turned to balls of fire. He said, "You can go anywhere you want to go. Don't be frightened. Don't be scared. Don't be in fear." And for me, I've never really had that fear. I've always just been like, you know what? I'm just going to go for it. And don't even think about any consequences. Just, it feels right. Let's go. And whatever happens off the back of that, just keep going.
Were you religious growing up?
Not at all. I went to church once when I was a kid. Yeah. Went to church once as a kid.
Did too. I think I was struck by lightning while I was there. I'm making a joke, but I'm not. You know what I mean? I was a fish out of water. I wanted to... I always had neighbors, kids, friends, that went to church, but I never did. My parents weren't religious. I mean, I was baptized. I was, Catholic. But that, as far as I know, that's the only time my parents ever took me to church. And I was a couple of weeks old or something at the time. But growing up, no. But I wanted to go hang out with my friends. And so I thought church would be, it wasn't for, I didn't dig it. You know, it's just kind of weird. It wasn't a God thing. I didn't like the environment. I don't know how to explain it. I just wasn't comfortable there.
I mean, for me, just standing there singing songs, it just doesn't feel right anyway.
Right.
You know, I mean, yeah.
I never got the donation basket thing either. But okay, so you went to church once, and then suddenly Jesus is telling you, you know, you can walk on fire, right? Are you buying into that?
Again, like I didn't really think about it.
Right.
It was just like it was happening, and I was just going with the flow, and it felt good. And everything that had happened to me since 2004, since the car crash, you know, it was all just working, and I was trying these things, and everything was going well. And people that I were helping, I mean, a friend of mine had a really serious car accident. And she got airlifted to hospital in England whilst I was in New Zealand. And her partner phoned up and asked if I could help. And I was like, how am I going to help? I'm in another country. But my intuition is saying, go and get some crystals and put them on your body, on your energy centers. So put these crystals down my body. I lie on the bed, and the next thing I'm in this lady's hospital room. And energy and lights just started coming out of my hands. And so the doctors had said to her, you're probably never going to walk again. You've been in hospital for at least a year. You're like the gear stick had gone through her leg. Her ribs were smashed. Everything was broken. And she was in a bad way. And so every day for a couple of weeks, I went into this space and I was working on her. Anyway, she walked out of hospital in 12 weeks and the doctors couldn't believe it. And she phoned me up and she said, Jerry, I woke up one night in my hospital room. And I said, what are you doing here? She saw me sat there next to a bed, exactly where I kind of imagined myself. So again, I'm like, you know what? There's something more to this imagination that meets the eye. You know, this imagination is actually reality. What I'm seeing in my mind in the field is really taking place. And so it gave me more confidence. There were so many things that kept giving me confidence to know that this stuff is working and know this stuff is real. And it just kept unfolding and unfolding and unfolding. And when it got to 2012, we ended up moving back to England. And that's when I saw the fairies and we're going to the mystery schools and learning this stuff. But at the same time, I got arrested for conspiracy to defraud the Bank of Scotland, holding a false passport back in 2007. So I was looking at a long prison sentence. And so I'm learning all of this, this healing stuff. And I said to the universe, listen, if you get me off this court case, I promise you I'm going to put my heart and my soul into energy healing. So I ended up going to court. I'm stood in a bulletproof dock. The judge walks out with his two accomplices. And the lady to his right, I could see wings on her back. And she looked at me and winked. And I'm thinking, no way. Am I going to get off this? My mind was like, no, you're never going to get off this.
Right.
And so the prosecution gave their side of the story. My solicitor gave our side of the story. They went out and deliberated, came back in 40 minutes later. They said, Mr. Sargeant, we can see you're a changed man. We're going to give you a 1-year conditional discharge, an £80 court fee. You're free to go. So at that time, I was, that was it. I'd made my commitment. I was all in and there was no turning back. And here I am sat next to you.
Yeah. So no more Guy Ritchie films.
It went out the window.
Wow. That's absolutely incredible. The fact that so many people don't want to recognize that there's something else going on. They won't do it. They live in a 2D existence. You just mentioned fairies. Now look at you, right? You're not supposed to talk about fairies. It doesn't make any sense.
That was one of the hardest things. Like all my old mates,
fairies are real. Dude, go in my garage and look at what I drive. Look, dude, I can't talk about fairies. Look at you. You're yoked. You know what I mean? You can't talk about fairies, but they're real, aren't they?
They're real.
Some people just don't want to open their eyes. I don't get it.
I mean, there's so many magical realms out there. And for me, like the fairies, angels, ETs.
Right.
I mean, I'd rather spend my time there. It's great talking to you, brother, but you can have some better conversations with some of these, these other beings. I mean, the knowledge and stuff and the wisdom, and it's amazing.
Let me look. Okay, before we get to the break, tell me about the first time you saw a fairy. What goes through your mind?
So I was out running, and it was a Sunday morning,
right?
And I'm in Cheltenham, where I grew up. We just moved back from New Zealand. I can't remember the time of year, but it was a sunny-ish day, and I see these kind of lights just all around this tree, like halfway up, and I stop and I'm thinking, I can't believe I'm seeing fairies. This is crazy. There's extraterrestrials have come into my life and all these different beings, and now fairies. But as I was staring at them, Archangel Gabriel comes down and he says, Jerry, I'm Archangel Gabriel. You need to write a book. And I said, what's it called? He said, it's called Into the Light. It's about your life story. I said, okay. And that was it. I left. I ran home to write the book because I knew I had to do it so deep in my soul. So I kind of just left the fairies, left the angel, and boom, I was at home on my laptop writing. So again, it didn't feel like anything weird or strange. It was just like, okay, I'm seeing them. I can't unsee them, and it's not like, it's not a vision. Like they were there, just flying around the tree, and it just felt right.
The first time I was in denial about all of that stuff. All right. I mean, seriously, I would hear about fairies and I would just go, bullshit. I didn't. And it's not guilt that I carry about that, but you will get slapped upside your head if that's it. You will see something that is going to not only a paradigm shift, but force you into thinking a little bit differently. Whether you want to admit it outside, to your friends, but inside, what's going on.
You're changed.
Yeah, you're changed. Because that happened to me. And I came back after this experience. I don't need to get into the details, but I came back and I don't know if it was Fade to Black or Coast to Coast, whatever I was doing at the time. And I went on the air and I went, fairies are real. And the thing was, Jerry, that I didn't give a shit what people thought. I was being honest with myself. This is my experience. You can believe it or not. That's not the point. It doesn't change my experience.
Yeah.
And I needed people to understand that. So when people talk to me about fairies and having, because I've had mine. And I know it sounds strange, but here's the thing. And this is kind of how I've rationalized it. The fairy story or the leprechaun story, the troll under the bridge story, right? The man with the fedora, whatever it is. It's the same thing that's been going on forever. Different cultures have their own versions of it. And I just wonder if it's just another extra dimensional ET experience that we have today. We throw something over the top of it, but it's the same stories that have been going on for hundreds or thousands of years with every culture on this planet, right?
Absolutely. 100%. I mean, there's a place in Ireland called Loch Gur, and it's this massive, beautiful lake. And we've done a few workshops over there. And my grandparents are from Ireland. I've got like deep Irish history. I love going there. The land is so sacred. And when you go to Loch Gur, especially on a summer's day, the amount of fairy activity is unbelievable. There are small ones and there are large ones that are taller than me. Massive fairies flying over the water, in the bushes. They'll talk to you, they'll guide you, but you've got to respect their land. One thing a lot of people do is they play around with fairyland. You go to fairyland and you want to construct houses on it, those houses are going to come tumbling down. You start to play around and dig holes and mess around with the wildlife, the trees, the flowers, which are the fairies' homes, you're going to get something not very good happen to you. So you've got to really, really respect them, which a lot of people don't.
Isn't it Iceland that has they have elves and fairies there, right? It's like it's their aren't fairies the national bird? Something like that.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. I'm feeling pretty confident about that. But yeah, it's the same thing when you look at different stories in the Bible, for instance, when we talk about things coming from the heavens, right? Information coming down, it just feels extraterrestrial to me, and it's been going on forever. But today, it's okay to believe in God from the Bible, but you're crazy if you talk about ET. It's like, wait, stop. You can't talk about angels, and that's okay, but you can't talk about ET. That's crazy when it's the same subject. Doesn't make sense.
I mean, it doesn't. I mean, for me, religion is there to separate us anyway. And when you start talking about all of these interdimensional, extraterrestrial, multidimensional beings, they take us outside of that framework of religion. And if you're outside of that framework of religion, you can move into unity consciousness. And if we're moving into unity consciousness, then we can come together as one. And that's when we're powerful. So they want to keep us in that mindset of believe in this, believe in that, don't believe in that, believe in this. And then everybody's fragmented. But when you start to know deep in your soul that there are these other dimensional spaces, and if everybody starts to know these spaces, everybody's going to connect to these higher frequency bands. And as soon as you do that, everybody's heart pings open, everybody starts loving more.
It takes their power away, doesn't it?
100% it takes their power away. You know, we're extremely powerful sovereign beings, and we came to planet Earth to be sovereign. We didn't come here to follow rules and regulations laid down by a certain few.
Right.
We came here to make up our own rules and regulations and do whatever we wanted.
Yeah, exactly. Let's take our break right here. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. I guess tonight in the studio, Jerry Sargeant is with us, and we'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel to get your alerts and access to over 2,000 videos. Click that subscribe button right now. Go to jimmychurchradio.com and get the Fade to Black official podcast. 2,000 episodes, all of them commercial free for just $2 a month. Watch Into the Vortex on Gaia TV. It's Fade to Black for the screen. Simple to do. Go to Gaia.com, search Jimmy Church, or click on the link below. Follow Fade to Black on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Get all of the show updates every single day. It's now called X, but who cares? How you doing? Jimmy Church here. Special announcement. Get your Fade to Black t-shirts. That's right. Help support the show. Help support everything that we do over here. We've got 2 t-shirts. We've got 2 ways to get them. Get your Fade to Black t-shirt today. Go Backley Tappy. Go to jimmychurchradio.com and become a Fade or Not. Get a membership. That's right. Everything is commercial free. You have access to downloads, and you get to call yourself a Fade or Not.
Today we're headed to Bolivia, Tiwanaku, Peru, and of course, Pumapunku. Brian, exciting. Thank you so much for everything, my friend.
Always an honor. Right behind us is the sacred river of the Inca that goes past Machu Picchu. So we're going to be driving up to its source at 15,000 feet above sea level and then down to Lake Titicaca.
So today we hit 15,000 feet.
Yes.
Crazy. And you can do it with us. All you have to do is go to hiddenincatours.com. Simple. We've got 2 tours coming up next year, one in June for the summer solstice, right? And then another one right here in November. So hiddenincatours.com. Come and hang out with Brian and I and his amazing team.
Right on.
River Moon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend. Truly the best coffee on planet Earth. Just visit rivermoonwellness.com or their Amazon store. It's all simple to do. You can check out the Fade to Black blend, the Game Changer blend, or any of their Black Moon Wellness products. It's the only coffee I drink. It is the best, and it's Doc. Again, rivermoonwellness.com.
Look, did the commercials end? Did they end? See, we're having fun. Should we tell them what we were doing?
Checking out Jimmy's Harley.
Yeah, we're out in the garage. Out in the garage. Okay, this is where I want to go. When somebody comes to you and you're going to help them understand the body and how do I want to say this? I'm going to say this right. They have questions, but there has to be a process of going through this. Where do you start with them, and how do you teach?
So it depends on what situation I'm in. If I'm in a training where I'm actually sharing this knowledge, we've got a very specific process that we take them
That's
through.
what I'm saying. Yes.
Yeah. So to break it down really simply, our bodies are like biological computers. We're always uploading and downloading code. And the body's also a communication device. So if someone says to me, oh, Jerry, I've got liver cancer, I've got problems with my kidneys, I've got this throat issue, I can pinpoint exactly what is going on. So like we were saying earlier, the hips are about direction, and you don't move in the right direction if you don't trust. So if someone isn't trusting, I need to find out why. So through a certain set of protocols that we use, I can tap into the quantum field and find the experience, whether it was from a past life, a future life, which don't really matter. When you get into the quantum field, everything's parallel. There is no real past and future. So I find the timeline, the experience, all the experiences, because it could be multiple experiences where trust was kicked up, a lack of trust. Maybe they were betrayed. Maybe this happened. When I go in and find that experience, I can change it. Once I change it in the field, then the hips just get better. If someone has scoliosis or kyphoscoliosis, we've got 100% track record on this. If someone's got not just an S-shaped spine, but also a corkscrewed spine, we can straighten it without even touching them. I even...
Wait. How does that happen? How does that work?
So say, for example, someone has a bent and twisted spine. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to ask to see that spine geometrically. So I would see each vertebrae as like an isosceles triangle. Okay. That means you've got two angles that are the same and one that's different. So I might see a bunch of green ones, some orange ones, and red ones. If I see 3 different colors, it means I'm working on 3 different timelines, 3 different reality fields. It could be 1, it could be 7. Let's say, for example, I see 9 isosceles triangles, 3 are green, 2 are red, and the rest are orange. It means if there's 9 in total, and I've only got 2 red ones, for example, I need to find the other 7 reds. If there's, say, 4 greens, I need to find the other 5 greens. So I need to find 9 of each. Once I find 9 of each, I've separated the 3 realities, and I just start to turn them. As I turn them, because they're quantumly entangled with the problem, the past lives or future lives or parallel realities and the spinal column, when I twist them, the reality heals and the spine just straightens. I'm
going to say this really quick. I'm not going to say who. I have a friend that I know rather well, and I can't say any more than that. Okay, I'm not going to. Who went to one of your retreats, said it was amazing. I said, okay. So we were at dinner, we had a bunch of, it was a family thing. And I'm like, tell me about it. And everybody else there kind of knew what we were talking about, but I just wanted to know. And they just said it was just an incredible experience. So started to tell me some of these things. I don't understand it, right? Because I haven't gone through the experience. I don't know, but it must truly feel like a gift. And did you understand how do you unpack the knowledge of understanding or was this taught to you?
So when I was in the mystery schools, I was shown how to use all these codes and use this information. And then by going out and using it and practicing with it, then I was able to kind of like formulate a system that I could teach to people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really good at getting something really complex and otherworldly and breaking it down and sharing it with someone so it's like noddy fashion, so anybody can use it. We were in California a couple of years ago, and we had about 80 odd people in our training, and someone had kyphoscoliosis. She's had it for years and years. She was in a lot of pain. And I said, is there anyone in the audience, in the group here, that wants to help fix this lady's spine? And the only person that put their hand up was a 10-year-old boy from Hawaii. He was there with his mum. So he comes up to the front. We've got a whiteboard. We're drawing what he's seeing. And this woman's crying. She's in a lot of pain, like where he's starting to fix her spine and it's starting to straighten. Imagine if your spine's bent, those bones are actually turning in the body and straightening up. It's very painful. It can be more painful than having, going under the anesthetic and waking up after an operation.
Right.
There's bruising, pain, all this sort of stuff, and it can last for days or weeks, but the spine becomes straight. So this young kid, he was describing what he was seeing, and he went back to a reality in Andromeda where he was in a lifetime with this lady. And it's no wonder he's the only one that put his hand up. It was like he was destined to be in that training to fix her spine.
10 years old.
10 years old. And I'm lying on the floor, looking up at him, watching him, literally maybe this far away from him. And he goes under. And I reach forward and I scoop him up, like mid-flight. I stand him up and I'm talking to him. Hey, Kahoy, you okay, brother? And he's sort of slowly coming back round. And then he comes back round. He opens his eyes and he's straight back into it. It took about 40 minutes, but her spine went straight. We got the doctor's scans before, the doctor's scans after. You can see them on our website. We got bundles of this stuff. Last year, we were in Canada and we had a lady with diabetes, 72 years old. She's not walked for 12 years. She's in a wheelchair. On the first day of the group healing, she gets up and she walks up and down the room 5 times. The next day, when she came in with her grandson, she left her wheelchair in the car. She walked all the way down the corridor, got in the lift, walked up and walked into the group healing. She's not been in a wheelchair since. We had someone with multiple sclerosis. The doctor said, you're never going to walk again. She gets up second day of the group healing, walks 40 meters to the toilet and back. We see this stuff all the time. People with brain tumors that have had like cancerous brain tumors. The doctor said, you'll be dead in 8 weeks. They're still alive 6 years later with no brain tumor. Because we change the frequency, we change the coding in the back end of the biological computer, and anyone can do this. I used to sell drugs and smuggle guns. Now I'm healing people and training people to do it. If I can do it, anyone can. And so whenever someone comes to us and says, listen, I can't do this, Jerry, it's not for me, I say, bullshit. If I can do it, so can you. And I'll find a way of helping them tap into the field, a way that they're good at. Some people see information, some people feel information, some people just know information. So you've got to find the kind of road inwards that you're good at, hone in on that, and then kind of extrapolate it. So this is what we're good at, helping people find these ways.
Can you do it to yourself?
Yeah. I was in Romania in a 24-hour gym.
Of course you can do it to yourself. Can somebody learn how to do it?
Everything that you can apply to other people, you can apply to yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And all of this stuff's done at distance. So I can be in Australia, you can be here in your studio,
right,
and we can straighten your spine.
Right.
We don't need to see you because there is no time, distance, and measurement in the field. It's an illusion.
What does this do to Big Pharma?
Well, in 2000 and...
Well, okay. Answer that. But I don't like going to doctors. I don't. There's reasons. But there are reasons to go to a doctor too. Right? If I break my arm, so you in the quantum field are not coming anywhere near me. Right? I'm going to the hospital. I'm getting a cast put on. Right? There's a reason for that.
So healthy people don't make money for Big Pharma. So they want us to be ill.
Of course.
So I was arrested for healing people with cancer in 2017, went through a 2-year court battle. When I ended up going to court, I was at the Conscious Life Expo in New York with my 2 children. I homeschooled my children from the ages of like 10 and 12, and I was a single dad. So they came to the Conscious Life Expo with me, and they flew back to London with me and came to court. When I went into court, they had to stay outside because they were both under 16. And I gave the judge 100 testimonials of people that had been healed from cancer. She read them and she turned around to me and she said, "There's nothing more than we'd love to lock you up."
Who was it? The government coming after you, or was it Big Pharma?
So I hired a private investigator to look into it, and it was a cancer charity in the UK that had funded the case.
Right.
Yeah. Once I came out with Star Magic, straight away the doctors were making websites and they were calling me Harry Potter. There was lightning coming out of my hand. But the thing was, it actually brought loads of business to us. It kind of backfired on them, and you know. It was a beautiful thing. Like, all advertising is good advertising.
The magic wand was the giveaway. You shouldn't have had that. Shouldn't have had that. But how do you address the critics? You know, certainly curing cancer and those kind of claims, they do require a big evidence on your side to counter that.
The thing is this, like, we had medical evidence of someone with cancer. Then I've given them 3 healing sessions, and then there is no cancer. But there's no proof really that we got rid of it. There's never any proof, and that's the thing. You know, apart from they had it, the only thing that changed was I gave them some healing sessions, and now it's gone. So they don't like it. But coming back to the other part of your question of, you know, if you break your arm, you're going to go to a Western doctor. For me, I want to bridge that gap between Western and Eastern medicine, because everything has its place. And I was involved in this kind of situation a few years back where a guy was in England. He's actually a Romanian guy, and he was in England on his push bike, and he's riding up to a roundabout. A car comes in front of him and his head goes through the quarter light window. The car goes along a bit. He gets dragged a little bit. He pulls himself out. His nose is in the back of his head. His neck's broken. He's completely smashed. Anyway, they airlifted him to a place called French Hospital in Bristol. And his girlfriend, who I knew, called me. And she said, "Jerry, listen, Stefan's had a really bad accident. He was in like one of those glass cubicles so they could monitor him 24/7. And so I had to pretend to be his Romanian brother that had just got off the plane to come and see him. So I end up going into the cubicle. I'm sat there and I'm working on him. He's got tubes in his nose. His face is cut to pieces. They had to cut from here to here, pull his face forward, push his nose back through, and staple his head back together. So he was in a proper mess. So I'm working on him.
There are Romanians with British accents, by the way.
Yeah, there are now.
Yeah, they are now.
There are now. And so I'm sat there working on him, and I see the devil at the end of the bed. And the devil is saying to him, "Listen, come with me. You know, you've been bad, blah, blah, blah." So anyway, we kind of get rid of that being. And then I'm doing my work on Stefan. I was there for like 4 hours, maybe 5 hours. It was a really sunny day. I go to the window. I look outside, and there's only one cloud in the sky, and the cloud was in the form of a cross. So I leave Stefan. I go home. The next day, he pulls all of the wires out of his nose, all of the tubes out of his throat. They went and x-rayed him again. He's got no broken bones in his back, no broken collarbones, no broken chest bone.
Come on.
100%. If you go to our website, you can see the testimonial. You can see how smashed the.
How is that possible? How does that work?
Because we're working in a dimensional field that controls the physical reality. So if you go into the field and you correct things like metaphysically, they're the building blocks of the physical reality.
What does the medical staff say? I mean, they're like, okay, they didn't teach us this in school. Doctor, you want to explain to us what just happened?
Well, I mean, they said to him that you're probably, you know, you're going to be in here for like a year or so. He was back at work in 5 weeks.
It doesn't make any sense.
And when you see,
I mean, it doesn't make conventional sense, I should say.
Like, you imagine how small those quarter light windows are. They're really solid, and his head went right through. So you can imagine how cut and smashed up his face was.
Sure.
When you see him on the video, on the testimonial, literally a few weeks after, you can see it, but it's not like what you'd imagine it to be like. Like, he just healed so quickly. So
some would say it was a miracle.
I don't deem them miracles.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In the past, it's a miracle. It's classified as that. Somebody is suddenly sainted at the Vatican because of something like this, because it would be deemed a miracle when somebody was just tapping into the quantum field.
For me, we've all got these skills.
Right.
I'm no different from anyone else. Like,
right.
Everyone can do this. We've trained thousands of people in 75 plus countries.
Right.
From China to America, everywhere in between. Everyone can do this. You've just got to show them the way. You've just got to show them the way. I was in India a few years ago, and a lady, she had a bad back and a bad knee. She'd been to Delhi, she'd been to Mumbai, she'd been to LA, she'd been to New York, she'd been to London, to Harley Street, searching out all the best doctors. No one could fix her back. And we're in this training, and I partner everybody up to fix the back, like with the spine, like I was just telling you, with the geometry.
Right.
And this lady comes over to me, she says, Jerry, I can't do this. I'm no good at this shit. I'm going home. I said, just relax and let me come over and help you. So she said, I can't see anything. I said, okay. I said, tell me what your favorite drink is. She said, well, I don't drink alcohol, but I like these particular mocktails. I said, okay, imagine mocktails as her spinal column. I said, imagine mocktails as her hips and as her knees and as her ankles. I said, tell me what they look like. She said, well, all of the glasses are full up, apart from one in the center of her back and her right knee. It's only half full. I said, fill it up, get a jug and fill it up with this quantum liquid. So she did that. The lady with the bad back screamed. She went like really loud. She was like, oh my God, my back is normal. Like, just by filling up that glass of imaginary mocktails, because it was quantumly entangled with the bad back.
Right.
And the universe had showed us it's only half full. All you've got to do is fill it up. Sometimes it might be the glass is cracked. You've got to put a new glass in. You just got to change it and make it right. The universe tells you exactly what you need to do when you ask to see things geometrically. So she filled it up and her knee and her back got better. This is like 20 years of pain.
Chronic pain is got to be the worst, right?
It's debilitating.
It's just got to be the worst. I mean, you can't escape it. It's just always there. Even if you are taking pharmaceutical drugs or whatever, you're taking it to put a mask on the pain that is always there in your nervous system. And to have it just suddenly end, I can't imagine what that feeling must be like.
But even with any kind of like disease, like whether it's a tumor, a cyst, whatever it is, if you go and cut that cyst out of the body, let's say you've got ovarian cysts and you cut them out, 9 times out of 10 they'll come back, because you can't cut out the emotions, you can't cut out the cause, and it's not a physical symptom. The body is just communicating with the human being and saying, "Hey, you need to look at this."
Well, that's what Big Pharma wants, though, isn't it? They just want. Healthy people don't make them money.
Absolutely.
And all they want to do is put a Band-Aid on what is causing you to visit the doctor, right there. But the cause of it underneath is never addressed.
Absolutely. Unless you come to see someone that understands it, like us.
Right.
So it's really important to go in and actually facilitate the healing of the cause, which is somewhere in the quantum field. A lot of people go to childhood. Oh, I had this childhood trauma. It's just the tip of the iceberg. The big bit of the iceberg is under the water, which is deep in the quantum.
For sure.
So you've got to go into the quantum and find that deep point.
I don't know how old you are. I don't. You don't know how old I am. Who do you think is older, me or you? All right. Put your in the comments below. Who's older, me or Jerry? Who's older? Okay, so I'm going to imaginary. No, here. I'm going to write. I have Altoids here in the studio. I'm going to write my age right there. Are you older or younger?
Younger.
You're younger.
Yeah.
I look pretty good, don't I?
You look real good.
I look pretty fucking good, don't I?
Yeah.
And the reason for that, Altoid. See, the reason for that is Altoids. I do Altoids. Is that it's up here. It's not getting told that there's something wrong with me or whatever. No, I think it's up here, Jerry. And about, I'm going to say 25 years ago. So I would have been in my mid 40s. And I had to go with a friend to their relative's house, having some issues there. Okay. All right. So I go. The person having the issues at the house was that old. Looked to me 80 years old. Not this, right? Not this. And the medication. So I go in, Jerry, some things you can't make up. And on the coffee table, they have one of those pill boxes, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, right? 8 in the morning, 10 o'clock, just a pill box. And then all these prescription bottles. And I was sitting there and I said, what's that for? This is for, and what's that for? Well, that's for after I take that pill, because this, really, what's that for? What's this for? It was like every body part they were taking a pill for, everything. And I thought, how does somebody get wrapped up in this? It's right. It's a treadmill and it doesn't stop. And once you get started on this, you're doing this, you're doing this. Now you got the jumbo pill box, your medicine cabinet is full, and you've got to keep your head straight with all. I wasn't going to go down that road. I wasn't. I was not. So in my house, I have 2 prescriptions in this house. One is an antibiotic that I never opened. Still have it. The other one is an antibiotic eye drop because I got an eye infection 4 months ago. You go to the doctor when something like that happens, right? But that's it. There's nothing. No, you're not going to convince me of these different afflictions. And why? Now, look at me. I look pretty good for an old man. Don't I? Right? I'm not looking for compliments. I'm verifying your stance. Yeah, I think it's very important. I think most of it's up here.
Yeah, I mean, you've got epigenetics, you become a product of your environment. And so we can create whatever environment we want. And through our mental faculties, we can live in a world, even if it's not quite real at the moment, we can live in that world inside of our mind, and our cells respond in that way. So if we truly know that we're healthy, if we truly know that we're abundant, if we truly know that our relationships are awesome and the universe supports us and we flow with ease and grace, that is what's going to happen. We can manifest just like that really quickly, but we have to be in that mindset, in that heart set, in a state of wholeness. Like we were coming back to earlier, in divine alignment, completely balanced in that 0 point where there's no thoughts. You're just there, right here, right now in that present moment. And from that state of consciousness, everything works. When we get out of our way, everything flows, but we think too much, shitty things. And so the body responds and it starts to manifest stuff that we don't really need. And that derails our train and we get ill and all this sort of stuff. But we can think ourselves well, we can think ourselves unwell. It's just a choice. Everything's a choice.
Think ourselves unwell, 100%. There is another, let's talk about diet for a second, because you brought that up earlier a little bit. I believe in being happy, and my body responds to being happy. So I eat what makes me happy. I don't eat stuff that makes me unhappy. Like vegan food makes me unhappy. Miserable, by the way. I just can't do it. I can't. But that doesn't mean I eat unhealthy. Does that make sense? And so I think my body, I don't do Haagen-Dazs. I don't do sodas, sugar things. Well, you saw the chocolate pie in my refrigerator, so that's a bunch of bullshit. But But I don't do unhealthy. I don't eat fast food. I don't do any of that stuff. But I eat what makes me happy, and my body responds to that.
I feel we should listen to our body.
Yes.
Like if our body wants something, give it to it. But you've got to ask, is it my body that's actually craving this? Or is it some kind of program? So I actually went vegan for 6 years and it destroyed me.
Yeah. Yeah.
For the first like 6 months or so, I was great. I was firing on all cylinders. But I'd had this thing. I'd be like, you know what?
How long were you vegan?
6 years.
Oh, you must have been miserable.
Listen, man, I went to do a workshop in Spain with my children, and I looked at the photos afterwards. Someone had taken some photos, and this had been going on for 6 years, right? So slowly over time, I got skinnier and skinnier and skinnier. And when I looked at this photo, I was like a beanpole. I was like, I got to stop this shit. This is no good. And so I went back to eating chicken, eggs, beef. All I really eat now, like for the last week, all I've eaten really is pineapple and ribeye. That's all I've been eating for
that's like being kissed by the baby Jesus. What is wrong with that?
It's beautiful,
That's
man.
Perfect.
I get the sweetness and the fruit and all that sustenance, and then a rare ribeye for me.
Oh, if you look in my freezer, look at the ribeyes that I have frozen in there. Yeah. Ribeye and pineapple. You know what? Grilled pineapple at that sometimes is
Nice.
pretty amazing. Yeah. See, but that's what I'm saying. My body wants that. It needs that. If I go and all of my vegan friends, they tolerate me, trust me, but they know what I'm about. They do, right? And it's all about boundaries when it comes to this shit. Anyway, when I show the respect of if I go to a vegan gathering, I'll eat the tofu chicken nuggets or whatever it's, but on the way home, my body's already going, dude, just stop and get a steak and cook it when you get home. You must. And it's weird because it's like the chemistry in my body is thrown off, and I need to have that kind of protein. I could live. I've done this. I want to ask you about this specifically. I have eaten a pure protein diet for weeks on end. No carbs, right? No potatoes, no rice. I'm talking just protein, eggs, right? Steak, chicken, morning, noon, and night, and no carbs. And I felt amazing.
Amazing. Yeah, the carbs slow you down. For me, protein and a bit of fat. Protein and some complex carbs like some fruit. Whether it's some pineapple, a bit of mango, some berries, blueberries. I'm firing on all cylinders.
Yep.
Firing on all cylinders. Like I went through this little phase. Once I stopped being vegan, I went through this crazy phase of eggs. So I was having about 30 odd eggs a day, and I was having it with honey and Himalayan salt. And my body was craving it for weeks and weeks and weeks. And then one day I went to put an egg in my mouth and I puked up everywhere. I couldn't eat eggs again. I went on to the chicken and the steak.
Really?
Yeah. I'm back eating eggs again now.
But you know what I don't do? I don't eat chicken and eggs at the same time. I'll throw that up.
Yeah, I'll eat steak and eggs.
Oh, steak and eggs all day long. Chicken and eggs, it's like eating the mom and the baby. That's what my brain says.
Doesn't work.
No, can't do it. No, my brain rejects it. I can't do it.
Even recently, I've not really been eating much chicken at all. Like I've literally just been living off like steak, fillet, ribeye.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much. Actually, today I had a New York steak, but most of the time it's been ribeye. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, ribeye is the way to go. I do about 2-inch cut. I have a butcher up the street that cuts for me. You'll see. You think I'm playing? Wait till I show you my freezer. It's what I'm responding to my body, and it's the only thing that it gives me clarity of thought. My brain, You know what I mean? The energy and everything that the vitamins and the proteins that are there in a good like ribeyes, like a perfect steak, and cooked properly. Dude, I have an iron skillet on my stove. I get that thing red hot. That's it. That's all I and it's done. And my brain works correctly.
I met a guy at the Conscious Life Expo five or so years ago, and he'd been vegan for 30 years, and he had such bad osteoporosis. He said every time he bangs his elbow or his hand, his bones, like they're crumbling. I said, why don't you stop? He said, well, I've given myself this label and I can't now. I said, I didn't really know what to say to him, you know. I mean, he's just deep in that kind of trench, you know.
Right, right.
But people give themselves the label and they can't back out of it. But if something isn't working, you got to change it,
right,
regardless of what it is. It's not working for you, man.
So I don't know if you know Sid Goldberg. I'm sure you do. But anyway, Sid works for Gaia and has been my producer for a long time for my TV show. He's great. Old friend of mine. Hardcore vegan. He shows me the respect. He'll still take me out to a steakhouse, you know, and we'll go out and he'll find something to eat on the menu. He shows me respect. He's great. Anyway, this past weekend, we're at CLE. We're at this big dinner and sitting with us, I can't say who or what, and if they're listening right now, they're going to laugh because this is true. Sitting in front of me, two women that and you know me, Jerry, I talk a lot of shit. It's okay. It's just who I am. I don't wear a mask. And so I sit down and I'm making fun of this food that I ordered in front of Sid. He's a vegan, and him and I go back and forth and we're cracking jokes. The two ladies just amazing. Anyway, they both said the same thing. We used to be vegan. I said, really? And I kind of looked at Sid. I said, and how's that going for you? We feel so much better. And we had this very conversation. And that where they just threw the chemistry off in their body because they thought there's like two decisions to becoming vegan. And everybody, I'm not here to offend you. Just listen. One is to protect the earth, right? Okay, I understand there's reasons for that and the beef industry and oh, okay, all right. So I see that. And you want to be kind to animals. Okay, there's that. Then the other one is you want to be healthy with your body. If your body isn't getting healthy, you're not going to do it, right? And you see the changes in you. And it's those people that, or either one that jump into being a vegan without going and maybe getting blood work done.
That's what I did. I just jumped in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it's a great idea. Save the animals, all the stuff you just mentioned.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was on this spiritual trip, and it just seemed like the right thing to do. I didn't really kind of think, is it, you know, and I felt so good for the first 6 months. I felt my gym work, my energy was just, I was in hyperdrive.
Do you think it was here?
Nah, I genuinely felt good.
Okay.
But then I just slowly started to deteriorate. But I was like, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. Maybe I needed some supplements. And I was trying all these different things and trying to like kid myself into the fact. And I went 6 years, man. But by that time, I was a skinny little beanpole and I had no energy.
Did you go to a nutritionist? Did you have blood work done?
Nah.
It would have scared you to death. They would have said, you know what? If you don't change, you're going to die tomorrow. Do you know how off the iron is in your blood? They could have brought up so many different things, but that's what you're depriving yourself of.
When I first put meat products back into my body, it was like my body was just like, it was like someone had got a pump and pumped me up, you know? And I've gone, felt so good.
That was the last day of veganism, wasn't it?
Last day of veganism.
Wow.
Man.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, like you, I've been to vegan events and I've had bits and pieces, but Yeah, if I know I'm going somewhere where there's no meat, I'll always have a steak before I go, and then maybe just have a bit of fruit there, and then just, you know.
At the Conscious Life Expo, at the awards, I did a couple of vegan jokes. Did you hear them?
I didn't know.
Oh, didn't go over so well. I thought they were funny. But see here, here's the thing. You need to be able to laugh at yourself. Vegans are way too serious. Way too serious. When you see, okay, everybody, I'm going to offend this half of the room. This half of the room is going to be okay. You go to a party and you see a couple of vegans meet each other for the first time, right? It's the same shit, man, every time. So, when'd you quit eating meat? 5 years ago, bro. 6, bro. Right on, man. You know, you don't see 2 carnivores come up. You know what I mean? Dude, how long you been eating steak? My whole life. Bro, me too. Man, you know, no, we don't see that. Right. And so if I have a party here at the house, and you can tell my house is set up for entertaining, right? When I have guests over and I find out that somebody's got some special needs, I take care of them. You know, what is it that, you know, and I make sure. But if I'm invited over to a vegan house, do they have a bag of cheeseburgers waiting for me? No, I don't give a shit. It's really, and we're all supposed to be getting along in this community and understand each other. This line in the sand, I don't get it.
It doesn't matter whether it's religion or veganism, and you know, it's just separation, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
But I think with veganism, they really do kind of defend it, just like someone would defend Christianity or whatever it is that they're defending. You know, it's like, this is who I am, this is what I believe in, and I'm going to stand and defend this at all costs.
Well, what you understand now, because you went at it for 6 years, right? You saw the effects of it. What is in denial with vegans is human evolution. We are here, you and I, right now, with all these beautiful souls and everything that's going on. We are here because man ate red meat. Homo sapiens ate red meat and chewed on sugar cane, right? I've been talking about 1 million years ago, right? 500,000 years ago. Evolution, our brain exploded and turned into what it did because of red meat consumption, protein consumption, and sugar consumption. That's our DNA. That's what our blood, that's how our organs run, right? You suddenly one day go, you know what, man, I'm going to stop doing that. Your body's going to say, F you. Your DNA, you cannot change your DNA like that overnight and expect to be a healthy person. No, it's just, they don't understand that our bodies are built a certain way. You can transition, you can take supplements to make up for stuff, go see a nutritionist, but you just can't alter human evolution because you woke up one day and wanted to save the planet. It doesn't work that way.
Well, I agree with that. I'm going to throw another little angle and bit of perception into this too, because over the last few years, maybe 5-10 years, there's been a lot of children that are coming down to this planet and they don't eat anything. You know, we work with them. We get a lot of parents come to us and say, listen, my child, he or she just will not have any food. But they're downloading frequency. They're living off high frequency energy coming from celestial bodies, coming from the sun, coming from off-planet frequencies. They're breathing deeply. They don't even put water into their body, absolutely nothing, and they are absolutely healthy because they're a different breed of human that's coming to the planet.
Explain.
So if you look at us. We were born with these 7 chakras. We were born with auric fields on the outside of our body. Our kind of energetic template was a certain way. If you look at children that have been coming to the planet since 2007, 2008, they've got no auric field on the outside of their body. It's on the inside. You can't manipulate them. They don't have these 7 chakras. They have a great big unified heart field, and they have what we call multi-dimensional chakras or transmission centers, which are in the same place, but they go down below the feet, way up above the head. They're on a higher frequency band. They've got a whole different energetic template, so they can take light and metabolize it and turn it into energy. Whereas us, we came from a different era. So we're having to kind of catch up with these new kids on the block and change our energy systems. Some of us are doing it and some of us aren't. Like in our level 1 training, one of the first things we do is we get people to dissolve these 7 chakras, open up this unified heart field and activate these 5th dimensional chakras. And it changes the whole template. We get them to bring the auric field on the inside of the body. We train people in this. And it's the way to go, because if we're going to go through this ascension process, we've got to change our geometry. We've got to change our mathematical code. You know, people talk about DNA activation. People talk about these 12 strands of DNA. We take people through a process to activate that. Not last year, the year before, on my birthday, I hired the whole Giza Pyramid for myself. I wanted to go in the dark.
I did the same thing.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's beautiful.
To do it by yourself, it's a privileged situation. Not everybody can do it, but I have, and so have you. It's extraordinary.
It's amazing. I mean,
I did it at night. You do it at night?
I went in at 11 p.m.
I did about 10, something like that. Yeah.
So I went up to the King's Chamber, and I ran these mathematical codes that I'd been showed.
Right.
And my whole body collapsed to light. I went up through the capstone, up through the through these bends in space, through these different gateways, all the way up outside of our matrix, in my physical body, but it had collapsed to light. When I came back down, I kind of sat up and opened my eyes, and I was facing the other way. So I knew that my physical body had gone up.
Oh, were you in the box?
No. I was where the box should be.
Okay.
So the box is on the right-hand side. The box should be in the center, but they moved it because there's maximum optimized energy in the center.
Okay.
So I laid down where it should be and went through this mathematical process and had full 12-strand DNA activation. I don't know anyone else that's done that. I really want to find other people that are doing it, but we're training people to go through this process. When you start to activate your DNA like this, your whole geometry changes. And this is why, for me now, I'm just eating ribeye and a bit of fruit, because I'm slowly kind of changing this process. And I'm fasting for 18 hours every day. Every week I fast for 24 hours, and every month for 48 hours, and twice a year for 5 or so days, and then break the fast with ayahuasca or some kind of medicine. And for me, this is just recoding, changing our geometry to how these new children are.
You break a fast with ayahuasca? What kind of nutrition is that?
Best nutrition. Yeah, break the fast with 3 days of Aya. It's amazing.
Wow.
And because you've got nothing else in your body, it goes straight in and works right at the deepest level.
Hello. Okay, so back to the Great Pyramid briefly. Man, we're at the end of the show. Can you believe it?
Time flies.
That's insane. I've had such a great time. Okay, anyway. Just really briefly, and I will not share my experience in the King's Chamber. I've only told a couple of little things. It's very personal. People, so what happened? Well, you know what? That's for me. You want to go and do it, and you won't be talking to your friends about it either after you're done. It's too personal. Anyway, I'm alone, and I climb in the box, and I laid down, and I had, anyway, that's the only thing I'm going to say. I shut my eyes. I put my arms on my chest, and I looked at the ceiling, and then I shut my eyes, and the weight of everything became apparent. That's all I'm going to say. It was just like, I'll talk to you about it. I'm not going to share it with the audience. Talk to you more about it after the show is over. Yeah. But it was pretty effing intense. It was pretty intense.
Yeah, some magical stuff happens
It's
in there.
pretty intense, pretty intense. So I get out. I get out. And okay, so okay, everybody, here's the room. Here's the box on this end. Okay, so there's the box. I go up against this wall, which is, I guess, if you enter there and you go up, you're facing west. Yeah, facing on the west wall. And we go up, something you would know about. I assume the position like I'm being arrested, right? Hands on the wall, right? And I spread my legs. You know what I'm talking about, right? And I put my hands on the wall. I put my head down, and my legs are behind me. And I do this, and I just felt everything pass through my hands to my feet and into the floor. And that, I'll tell you more about it, but that was insane. And I stood there in that position for probably 2 minutes, and it was pretty cool with my eyes closed. And there's such a fundamental thing with the granite and the weight and the power all happening at the same time. And I'm grounding, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wow, man, it was crazy.
Powerful.
Well, and for somebody to say that it's bullshit, no, man. Go do it and then get back to me on that, because it is just an extraordinary experience, and you have to go. How many times do you hear about people doing their spiritual journey with something like that? It doesn't have to be Egypt, it could be anywhere, but they go through this experience, and how many people just dismiss the experience when they hear about it. No, you need to go out and try it for yourself.
I think there's something really distinct about doing it on your own in there too, because we run tours of Egypt every year. We take groups of 80, 100 people. We've been into the King's Chamber bundles of times, and we've had some amazing experiences. But when you go in there on your own, and you're in that dark, and there's nothing else, there's nothing but you, something happens. Like the pyramid gives you what you need. You know, it will communicate with you in a way that is just way beyond anything, you know.
I turned to our tour group, and everybody's standing there, and I turned and I said, okay, now listen, this is what's going on. I'm going in by myself. 30 minutes, you can come in. I'm going in now. Understand? And everybody had, no, don't. That's what's happening. Bye. And I turn around and I split. And when you go through, and it was, the drill, right? You got security, you got, everything that's going on. You walk past everybody, you get through, and now you're alone in there, and it's quiet, and there's not the daytime crowds and the noise and everything that's happening on Giza at night. It's a different thing. Plus the temperature's cooler, right? But you go into the Great Pyramid and you are alone. You can hear your heartbeat, right? And you're going up, right? You know what I mean? You're working, you're stepping, and you can hear your breath. You can hear and see your thoughts. And it's an extraordinary experience to be in there alone.
When I went in there on my own and I was laid down in the middle, I went through this kind of process, this activation, and my eyes were closed. And I see with my mind's eye the walls in the King's Chamber collapse, and there's all this orange light and all these beings come in, some dark ones, some light ones. So I think, let me just open my eyes. And when I opened my eyes, everything was the same.
Right.
There was no walls. There was just orange light. There were portals everywhere, and just it was like the whole universe had descended into that space.
I love
They're
that.
walking around me, over me. I was like, come on, Jerry, breathe. You're going to be okay. I never really get scared, but like it was like there was this element in there,
true.
It was
Yes,
like, boy,
yes.
you really got to focus now and lock this in,
The correct word, I said it earlier, but I'll say it again. It's intense.
Intense, yeah.
It's not soft. It's not soft. It's intense. It's a very powerful thing. And imagine one of the modern experiences that we have with that account is Napoleon. Napoleon spent the night in there.
Yeah.
And they said he came out a different person. And I know that he did. I know that he did. And today we have lights, we have, things, we have the modern stuff that's going on. He went in there when that thing was fresh. Can you imagine how dank? He's you and I got ice water, right? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? We've got an air-conditioned bus sitting outside that we can go relaxing when we're done.
Probably had a candle, didn't he?
Yeah. He's in there with nothing. Think about that. Mm-mm. No, you went in there, fresh underwear, fresh socks. He went in there ripe. Think about that. I know he came out stunned. He had to.
He never told anyone what happened,
would
did he?
not talk about it. Robert Schock. I did this with John Anthony West and Robert Schock. This is like 12 years ago. And excuse me, I had Robert on the show. And he spent the night in the King's chamber, right? I said, so, hey, man, what happened? He goes, I'm not going to tell you. I said, oh, come on, give me a little bit. He goes, no. But, Jimmy, no, some things are just not to be talked about. And that's one of them. I get it now. I was a little frustrated at the time, but it's that intense. You know what I think part of it is? I could be wrong here. Man, I can't believe we ran out of time. Is that there is weight, pressure, and energy with all that quartz and all of the, the relieving chambers and everything else that's going on there. That force creates energy. It's pushing down. So that energy is always there and it's constant. And to think that that's not what's going on, you're in denial. No, the King's chamber is trapped in an energy field, and
huge amounts of magnetism.
Yeah, huge amounts, and it's physics. That's it. It's spirituality, it's the universe, it's consciousness, but just the pure science and force and Newton, and like you said, magnetics and EM and everything else that's happening. That part of it's real, and to say that doesn't go on, you're in denial.
You got to go and experience it. It's one of those things that you could tell people a million stories, but until they've been there themselves and they've been through that process, they're never going to know.
Jerry, thank you so much, man. Now, starmagichealing.com. .org. I'm sorry about that. Is that the best way to reach out to you and see what's going on?
Yeah, starmagichealing.org. You can get access to all of our social medias. You can contact the team, contact me.
What's going on next for you? Oh, you've got this event at Gaia coming up.
So this weekend we've got a 2-day group healing here in LA.
Uh-huh.
And then I'm going to Barcelona for group healing, and then we're going to Gaia in March. And then we got our Egypt tour starting 2 days after.
Yeah, you sound like me. So wait a minute. You're going to Spain and then coming back for the Gaia Immersion conference. Yeah. Okay, where's your healing going on here in LA?
It's going on. Do you know what? I can't even remember the name of exactly where it is, but it's all on the website, starmagichealing.org.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah,
here, I'm going to do you a solid. Okay? I'm going to do you a solid. There you go. Is it here?
Yeah, go to group healing experiences. Then that's it. And if you scroll, there you go, LA. View event.
Okay, here. So it's February 22nd and 23rd. Come on. There it is.
Yeah. And then if you scroll down, you'll see where exactly where it is.
Let me pull this across. Hold on. There we go.
Yeah, right. If you go all the way down to the bottom. Oh, there it is there. Just up a little bit. Up, back up. Bit more. There you go. The Industry Loft, 755 N Highland Avenue.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's nice. Okay, everybody, it's the Industry Loft, 755 North Highland. And if you go to starmagichealing.org, we've got the links up right below. click on events, and it'll take you right there, live group healing, and you'll see everything. It's Saturday and Sunday, 12 to 6 p.m. So there you go. Jerry, perfect show, man.
Thank you so much, brother. It's been a pleasure.
It's just amazing. And again, everybody, it's very simple. Just click on the links below. We have it here and throughout social media and over on our website. So with that, Jerry, who do I have on the show tomorrow night? Right there.
Laurie Majka.
That's right. Love never dies. I will see everybody tomorrow night. But for now, all I've got is Go Back Lee Tappy.
Fade to Black is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee Newman, and Michelle Freed. Special thanks to Bill, John, Dex, Jessica, Dennis, and Kevin. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music by Doug Aldrich. Intro, Space Boy. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2024 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Go back, Lee Tappy.